Hello. So, as I'm sure you saw, I'm going to talk about the games I beat this year and what I'm going to try to beat next year. Alright, starting with the games for this year, I started out strong with beating Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warrior, whatever you want to call it. It's the mobile port. I played on the Switch, and it was good. I enjoyed it. There was a few things I didn't know what to do, and I had to look them up towards the end game because there's specific items you need in order to access the last boss fight. And I was like, I have no idea where these are. And like one of the items involved like walking around the outside edge of the castle, which there was hints about it, but I was like, I don't understand what you're wanting me to do. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, quite literally on the far edge of the castle, you have to find the one place that you can exit and make sure you don't go one pixel too far. A little, but if you ignore that strange little bit, it was a great game. It was nice to see how Dragon Quest began. Um, I've been wondering for a long time what it was like, and it was pretty fun despite being kind of weird. Since it was so, you know, old to me, I'm like, you see no actions. Oh, okay, thanks, game. It's all text. Cool. But I quickly adapted and I was like, okay, I understand what's going on, and it's actually pretty fun. The next game I beat was YS Memoir: The Oath in Felghana. That is a game that I got digitally on the Switch and played. Um, I was curious about the Ys or YS series. I call it YS. Everybody else calls it Ys. I'm not sure. To me, I see two capital letters and I go saying them. It's like some weird phenomenon in the back of my brain that's like, it's YS. I'm probably wrong. It's probably Ys. Anyways, Oath in Felghana. Not technically the first game in the series. From what I understand, chronologically, I should play Origin first. If I want to follow the, I don't know, Adult timeline. I guess that's what we're gonna call it, the Adult timeline. So Oath in Felghana is like, where is it? It is. See, there's Origin 1 to 10, Celceta, then Felghana. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's technically like the sixth game if you want to go by timeline. I don't think you need timeline to understand it. It kind of has its own story. I've kind of noticed that with these games, that you can play them in whatever order. They're not gonna really expect you to understand anything particularly strong. They kind of introduce the characters, they introduce the area, they introduce what you are doing. Which for the most part was running around and smacking monsters. It wasn't particularly hard, which is good. There was different difficulty options. I chose the easiest one because, duh. My goal was I wanted to beat this game. I know that when it comes to action games, that if there's any platforming, I tend to go, yeah, nope. Um, this one had some platforming in it, and I was vaguely aware of that. And I was like, you know what? I'm sure I'll enjoy the game. I like the fact that it's an action RPG because it is an RPG. There are levels, and I was like, you know what? If the leveling system works the way I think it does, I won't have too hard of a time. It'll just be a case of how annoyed will I get with the platforming at some point, and how annoyed will I get with repetitively smacking monsters. So I was like, easiest difficulty, definitely. I didn't need to really grind at any point in the game because I chose easiest difficulty, so that's a big bonus. Um, Only issue I really came across was At one point, you need these pieces to a piano because it's a key puzzle. You basically just need the pieces, and he puts them where they go. It's not much of a puzzle. The puzzle is find the pieces. Okay. The hard part came from I didn't understand this, and I didn't expect this to be a thing, but you probably should talk to everybody always until they don't have anything new to say. Because I didn't, and I had to go back up the tower I'd just been up, all the way on the other side of the building, to talk to somebody. Because I didn't think to talk to them, because I was like, it's a child, I don't need to talk to them. Yes, you do. They're holding the item you need. And talking to them is apparently the trick. And I'm like, really? I just supposed to know to talk to this child because they probably picked up the thing I need. Okay, whatever, that's fair, fine, whatever. It is an RPG. I'll give it that one pass. Like, fine, whatever, you're an RPG. RPGs do arbitrary, goofy things like this. Which is annoying and stupid, but, whatever. That's on me. I should have talked to everybody. I should have known better. That's the only time that happens. There is, an optional thing you can talk to somebody, to get extra dialogue. Honestly, it doesn't give you anything other than, you did it! Ta-da! It doesn't really tell you did it so much as you read their conversation and go, okay, I delivered the message? Good for you. I'm not really sure what the point of that was. And as cool as it was, I have this issue with the here's a character in the last few minutes who's going to save the world instead of you scenario. That makes me mad. I did it. I got those items. I put them where they go. I fought that boss. I listened to all these people just... And I ran all over the place. Ran up the mountain, down the mountain, in the castle, out of the castle. And you're telling me my reward is watching somebody else kill themselves? To save the world? That's not fair. And I thought that was kind of stupid, too. I hate when that's, the thing. Surely there's gotta be, another solution than I'll sacrifice myself so that you can escape. No. Let me smack them or something. There's gotta be, another option. That's stupid. That's dumb. I do not approve. But my qualms with the ending aside, which, trust me, out of context, that made 0 sense to you and you have no idea what I'm talking about. And you'll be just as confused as I was when you reach the ending. It's just okay, fine, whatever. And they make you want to care about the ending, but it kind of came across as, well, that was dumb. Why? Fine, whatever. Done. Credits, thank you. I walked away from being frustrated with that. Because I liked the gameplay, I enjoyed the story until that point, and then I was just kind of well, that's kind of stupid. Because the story is kind of minimal, there's not a lot of story to it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I was okay, it's interesting, I guess. Not much to it, but, I get some monsters around, so that's fun. And there's, optional treasures and paths and stuff. It's fun to run around aimlessly, it's just yeah, I'm just dashing and smacking these monsters. That was fun to me. And then they ruined it with something stupid. I decided to not let that totally color my opinion of the game. I mean, it made it go from being a 9 to being a 7.5. Will I play it again? Maybe. But the story kind of made me go, I don't know how much I want to play that again. Even though I want to unlock the stuff. That kind of made me mad. Next game I played did not make me mad. Super Mario RPG. Oh, goodness, excuse me. I didn't find all the secrets and stuff because, honestly, I don't know where they are. And I wasn't going to look up a guide because that's lame. I just played the game. I enjoyed the game for what it was. Went around doing things. I did some kind of music thing with the frogs, which took me a while to figure out. But after some trial and error, I got the frogs where they belonged, and then they did their little musical thingy, and then I got a thingamajigger. And I was like, cool. I randomly ran around, beating up the enemies and stuff. Never really needed the level grind or anything, because that's not the point, I guess. This kind of a straight shoot, just play the game type situation, and you'll be fine. I never really got the timing down good, though. My timing was, sometimes it was, yeah, sometimes it was, ugh. I defeated the optional Final Fantasy reference boss. That was fun. It wasn't necessary for any means whatsoever, but I wanted to, so I did. I don't remember what it gave me. Honestly, I don't even think I used what it gave me. I think it was one of those, like, cool, I did the thing. And then I moved on. I fought the, like, martial arts guy. That was fun. Yeah, again, optional, but, why not? Same with the frog music. It was optional, but why not? I forget what all I did. I know I didn't find the hidden games that you can play. There's, like, supposed to be, like, a casino or whatever. I couldn't figure that one out. That one just, woo! Like, I tried different things. I went different places and talked to the people and stuff, and I was like, I'm clearly missing the clue I need to get to the thing, but I don't know. And I just moved on. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I filled in most of the beastery thingy-majigger. You don't have to. It's kind of optional. I had gotten, like, 98% of it. And I was like, I could go get enough coins or go find those particular enemies and scan them, or I could just move on and beat the game. I moved on to beat the game. Yeah, it was the only place I got stuck was the end game, which that makes sense. That's fair enough. There are these doors, and you gotta pass so many doors. 2 of the doors are, like, platforming, 2 are puzzle, 2 are battles. Was that all of them? I don't know. Puzzle was okay. There was one I was terrible at, but there was one I was really good at, and it was not a problem. The 2 battle doors are obviously super easy, and who cares? I'm terrible at platforming. I did manage to get through one of the platforming doors, because I had to. As that was what it came down to. I think you gotta do 5 of the 6 doors, I think is what it was. So I had done the 2 puzzle painstakingly for one of them. Had done the 2 battles, and then I looked at the platform and went, oh no, I have to beat one of these. And I swear that was, like, the hardest part. That's where most of my deaths came from. Just, what am I doing? Nope, dead. Try again. What am I doing? Nope, dead. Try again. I did finally do it. It took a while. I did, like, walk away from it and then come back. And then I beat the game. And I was like, you know what? I don't need to complete the game. I got to see the game for what it was. I got to see the boss fights. I got to see the stuff. I got to see what happens after you do the castle. There's something that happens. And it's interesting. In a way that I was like, this feels kind of lame, but sure, why not? Honestly, that was, like, the only part that was like, why am I doing... That's not the end? Fine, I guess. I would have preferred that the castle be the end. That would have made more sense. But, whatever. Games be doing their thing. It was fine. I mean, it didn't really ruin it or anything. It just made me go, but I thought I was done. Alright, whatever. I decided to play a visual novel next, Gensa Manage. So, for anybody who is like, what in the world's a manege? Manege is another word for carousel, which is another word for merry-go-round. The thing with the horses that go around a little little happy circle. You sit on the horse goes in a circle, and it plays really annoying music that once you get off of it is stuck in your head for like the next 3 days. But it's fun. A lot of kids like it. I know I enjoy it even though I'm an adult, and whatever. They're pretty, and it's like the one thing that's like in every theme park. Like, of course there's the carousel. Of course somebody is gonna ride that. Even if it is goofy and kind of stupid. A lot of the ones that I've seen have a bench and horses that don't go up and down for the people who are weird. So, regardless, this weird game is based on. I don't really understand. The girl, I guess, lost some of her memories or something. And she has a music box that has a carousel on it. And then a traveling amusement park arrives that has that carousel, but like the big version of it as the main attraction. And telling you more would like spoil it. I'm trying to think. She lives with her best friend's family for reasons that are not explained unless you do that route. The owner, I guess. What is Hugo? Is he the owner, I guess, of the amusement park? I mean, the amusement park revolves around him. Let's put it that way. The owner, manager, whatever he is, the existence of the amusement park is tied to him. Let's just call it that and move on. And he knows our main character, which is weird because she don't know him, or at the very least don't remember him. There's other characters obviously at the amusement park. There's a performer. Because I'm like, he's not really an acrobat. He can do acrobatics. He's just a performer. He does various things. Good for him. There's a mascot who's a big bunny. And I love bunnies. So that was like, yes, bunny. Give me bunny story. There was, I'm trying to remember like the characters. My mind is like, I remember but I don't. It's been almost a year since I played this game. Let's see. There's the guy that assists Hugo in keeping the operations running. For lack of a better explanation of him, I'm going to call him the operations manager. He's basically like in charge of the financials and making sure everything's up and running, making sure all the parts are there, making sure parts are replaced. But he also can play piano because he's special. I don't know. I really don't know why he can play piano. He can. He's one of the unique ones there. He stands apart from the rest. Let's put it that way. Let me think. There's also a guy who absolutely doesn't want you there because of plot reasons. You can do a thing to help the people at this park, but he doesn't consider it helpful because of reasons that you only can find out if you play his route. Which, whatever. He's a mechanic, and that's his job is to fix stuff. Anytime something breaks, he gonna fix it. Because he's the only one who can. Because he's the only one who knows how to do it. Hugo can, sort of, but this guy's better at it. Let's put it that way. Even though it would have made more sense for Hugo to be better at it, the game said, no, we're going to be arbitrary and say, because of magical reasons, this mechanic guy is better at it. Because, sure. We had to have another route. It was important. I'm trying to remember. So yeah, there's the performer boy, the bunny guy, mechanic guy, assistant guy, Hugo himself, and then of course the best friend. So yeah, I think that was it. 6 sounds like about right for amount of routes. They all had multiple endings, because of course they do. Some stuff is like utterly like sad. Other stuff is like, wait a minute, what now? There's like some dark reveals of some crazy stuff going on involving like witches and what's being done involving witches who might not even be witches. I guess as a big spoiler, you are told pretty early on our character is a witch. But she keeps it a secret. Her best friend knows. And he keeps it a secret. Presumably his mom does not know. Even though she lives there with them. And presumably Hugo knows because he knows the main character. But he doesn't say anything about it until she admits it herself. Which happens also pretty early on. Like, all this stuff happens all in the prologue. Like, the prologue's like, let's introduce everybody. Let's give you their current status. And then, crazy. Which is fine. I actually like that in a visual novel. It gives, like, a bigger, wild picture of, like, what could possibly happen now. And some really wild stuff could happen. Some of it's very dark and sad and depressing, and like, I don't ever want to play that route again, even though it's the true route, and it's like the best ending route if you go for the best ending. And it reveals all the truths, and it's the important route to play. But it's so darn depressing and dark during it that I was like, yeah, I'm never playing that again. I know the facts now, and I don't care. As much as I like the fact that those two can be a couple and it can be a good ending, and it's really wonderful what becomes of that route, I don't like that big section of sadness and angst and torture and how dare you. So, like, there are some things that happen that you're like, what have I stumbled across, and why is this in my fun little fairy tale game? So I feel that does a forewarning for that visual novel. But it's definitely one that I really like. Despite the fact that it totally took me by surprise. Maybe it's because it took me by surprise I like it so much. Because I don't know if I would have liked it as much if it not happened. Because the prologue is boring. You're like, oh boy, this is some slice of life boredomness. She wakes up. She walks around and talks. Oh, there's an amusement park. Let's visit it. And I was like, oh, I am bored. But once you get past the prologue and actually choose a route, you actually start making some progress. And some things happen and it gets unboring. Alright, the next game I played at that point was Tevi. Tevi. I think it's Tevi. It might be TV. I don't know. I think it's Tevi. Anyway, it's a girl. She has a little bunny ear hat on. It's like, it's kind of a Metroidvania, but I'm not sure entirely. Because, I mean, there's definitely, like, leveling and stuff that you have to do. And you do have to go back and forth to make progress. There's definitely stuff you can access after you get other stuff in order to access it. I know that is like the worst explanation ever, but I promise it would make sense if you were playing the game. It's interesting because it gives you like this lighthearted stuff at times where you're like, she has bunny ears. And she's kind of a smart aleck, and it's hilarious. And then it goes and says, look at this depressing town that barely has any substance left to it, that is struggling to survive. And I'm like, what? It just like total 180. Like, happiness. All right, here's Depressionville. I'm like, what? Huh? You go just straight from, we're gonna collect core thingies. All right, cool. Why not? Our daddy person likes to do sciencey stuff. Why not? He likes to research stuff. We can collect stuff and give it to him. There's some bad guys that are trying to get it too. I'm sure that they have some kind of stupid use for it. And then you go from that to, there's this backstory of war and how the place is now decimated. And I'm like, what? Where did this come from and why? It really just turns dark like. But I kept playing it anyways, because at that point I was intrigued. I'm like, okay, where can we possibly go next? And the answer is just darker. They're like, look at this cute stuff. Here's depression vibes in the story. And I'm like, I'm very confused by you, game. You're showing me cute, adorable stuff while telling me the scariest and saddest things. Wonderful. It's actually a really fun game, though. Only issue I had is, like, towards the end of the game, whenever you have to go down into the hell pits or whatever, I'm not really sure. In the fiery depths of Tortureland, there's one area, the only way to platform it is if you know ahead of time to power up specifically her jumpy boots before you got there. Because you have to have them powered up to the max to get over one obstacle while platforming. Everything else can be circumvented but that one wall, which is stupid. Because I had to go grind. I had to go beat up the same enemies over and over and over until they dropped the item I needed. And I was like, I get the point of it, I guess. And there are fast travel points to get closer to the enemies that give me what I need. But that's dumb. I shouldn't have to, like, power up something specific because the game's like, yeah, we didn't tell you would need this, but ta-da! Because I've been powering up other stuff to make my attacking, go better. Because some of the boss fights were hard. And I was like, I kind of want to beat the boss the first time around, thank you. But, I managed, regardless of the stupid backtracking that was dumb. It didn't really add too much to my playtime. The game is still, like, roughly, like, a 20 to 30 hour, depending on how terrible you are. If you're good at platformers, you'd probably beat it in 15. I am not. I suck. I took really close to 30. But it was a fun game. I didn't complete it because I don't care that much. But I definitely had fun with it. It has, like, an open ending where there could be a sequel. But at this point, I don't think there's going to be. It would be nice if there was, though, because I would totally play it. It's one of those games that I beat it, and I was like, you know what? I might one of these days buy it, just because I really do enjoy that game, and I want to support the existence of that game. Alright, next game I played was digital, and it's called Arafel. A-R-A, and then Fell, F-E-L-L. So it's kind of like a indie RPG game. I don't know how to explain Arafel. Like, there's exploration elements to it, and there's, like, optional exploration, and there's stuff that's not optional. But doing the optional stuff can help if you want to get, like, stronger, but you don't need it in order to beat the game. It's definitely fun to play. I definitely enjoyed playing through that game. It was definitely one of the times where I was like, I'm glad I got this. I had no idea what exactly I would think going into it. I had seen people talk about it briefly. Oh, excuse me. And I was like, you know what? I'll play it. I had just recently got my PlayStation Portal, and I was like, I'm just gonna sit back and play this. That's what's gonna happen. That's what I'm gonna do. I completely beat it on the PlayStation Portal. I thought about completing the game, but I didn't. It's one of those games I might go back and complete it because it was enjoyable. It has its minor flaws, but overall it was an enjoyable game. And it's another game that kind of ended on a we could continue this, but we haven't note. I don't know if they will though. Following it up, I decided to play another digital indie game, and I played Shadows of Adam. I switched over to my Switch for that one. But it's available on PlayStation Network also, I believe. Anyway, let's see. Shadows of Adam. It's an interesting RPG. Also, it's also along the veins of you can explore. There's optional stuff to do. There's stuff that you have to do. And just like a mixture of that while you play through the game is pretty fun. I don't remember. Did I complete it? Yes, I did all the side stuff on it. Okay, I couldn't remember. Because I was like, the side stuff was not hard to do on it. It was just kind of a case of go down this optional path and then head back. Unlike Arafel, where it was like, well, you might you might have to explore a little bit out of your way to figure out exactly how to get to that point. And you might need to wait till close to the end of the game once you have a specific ability to do it. But, you know. It didn't really take away from Arafel that they did that, and it didn't ruin anything that Shadows of Adam didn't do that. Shadows of Adam was like, you can explore at your own pace. We're not gonna kind of jerk about it. And it was pretty cool. I found all the optional stuff. Yet again, not necessary, but made beating the game easier, which is pretty good because I did not grind any. And towards the end, it was starting to be like, I should have grinded some. Because towards the end, it gets tougher. It definitely gets a lot harder towards the end of the game. And the final boss definitely was like, oh boy, what am I going to do? It kind of became a case of, hopefully I can beat this? Because I lost the first try, like, super fail. Not even have a chance fail. But the second time went, like, very well. Well, I say very well, as in, like, I figured out a strategy and it worked and I stuck to that strategy. And I was happy with that. That was fine by me, and I was done with it. And the story had something I didn't expect to happen, and I was like, you know what? That was pretty cool. I decided to play a action RPG after that. Played Tales of Graces F Remastered. And that includes the bonus story. I beat both. I didn't complete it because there was stuff that I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that optional dungeon. I just don't care. Because towards the end of it, some of the battling was starting to get kind of repetitive for me, and I was just like, I don't care right now. And the only reason that the battling was getting on my nerves is because some of them dungeons, with their puzzles and making you go back and forth and not making any sense, was just, it grated on my nerves. Especially the final dungeons. The final dungeon for the main game and the dungeon for the epilogue. The epilogue dungeon, let's call it that, because it's like you access it separately once you beat the game. Both of those dungeons had these puzzle sections that just, I didn't understand them for the life of me. I somehow figured out how to solve them. Online guides had them wrong even for the bonus epilogue story. So it was just like, oh, I can't even just look up the solution because I actually got that stuck on that one. And I was like, I want to see the story. because the story was good. The story had me hooked. I liked the story, but at some point, some of those puzzles and some of the action, I was just like, I'm bored. I don't want it anymore. So maybe if I took like a break and came back to it, I wouldn't have been as aggravated. I think that was my problem with it. Just I was playing it in not any other games, and I just was starting to get like to the point where I was like, I want to play something else, and this is going on too long. I then played a visual novel because I wanted something short. I played Fatal 12, which is a interesting visual novel. There's no romance here. This one is just survival. There is for some reason these games that take place, and certain people are selected to participate in it, and our main character is one of them. And at these messed up clockwork event thing, somebody gets nominated to die. Only one person can live, and there were 12 altogether when you start. And each time that they get summoned, another person goes. I think it's like once a week or something that they get pulled into this. And as you go, you're like, ugh, this is crazy. But for the person to be eliminated, they need to know that person's cause of death and their regret. Their biggest regret. The one thing they wish they had done before they died. Which is crazy, but it was a thing. And I was just like, okay. Whatever. Some of it got really weird at times because it really was like messing with my brain and making me try to think harder than I needed to with like what was going on with the story, with the time stuff, and what existed, what didn't exist, what stayed and what was eliminated each time. And it was just like, wait, what? But once you get towards the conclusion, it starts to make total sense, and it actually is completely explained if you go for the true ending. And I went ahead and did all the endings. Some of the endings are like really sad and like, oh, why is that an option? Some of the endings were like, that's a good ending, but it's also kind of sad. And then there was obviously the genuine good ending situation, if you go for the true route and find out what really caused all this nonsense and put a permanent end to the nonsense so it doesn't happen anymore. So that was actually pretty good one. I didn't expect what happened in it to happen, and it was really interesting because of that. I like the fact that even though it's themed around death, that it doesn't like go straight for depression vibes. There are mentions of depression. There are mentions of what caused these deaths, because some of the deaths might have been on purpose. And it's like, I didn't expect that. That's, And some of the deaths are tied together in ways that you wouldn't expect. And you're like, wow, that happened? Interesting. And you're like, well, I don't know how I feel. You're like, I feel bad that, this is going to happen now, and these people did this, but this happened anyways. It's like, So, it has an interesting take on things, and it was definitely a good one to play through. I followed that up with Panzer Dragoon Remake. That's just basically an arcade shooter that was just for funsies. I played through it enough times to complete it and, move on. It was, just a break from stuff. I then played the live stream and live stream 2 back to back on the Switch. I have the combo pack cartridge. The first one is called Escape from Hotel Izanami, and the second one is Escape from Tokazuka Happy Place. And if you're like even vaguely familiar with those games, they're like action adventure point and click puzzle solving visual novel. It's really hard to explain. But yeah, that's you control these girls, you run around with them to avoid getting captured by the mascot in the building, and you pick stuff up in order to solve puzzles. There's ways to transfer the items between the different characters in order to continue to solve the puzzles. And it can become elaborate, but other times it's like stupidly simple. And your ultimate goal is you have to stop this mascot person thing by coming across enough clues and stuff to solve what caused them and putting an end to it, which is really weird and complicated in both of the games because you're like, what? I need to pick up a doll and put it in a shrine with the right items, but only after I've solved that puzzle? What? It's not gonna make sense. I recommend a guide, okay? Like, I tried figuring it out on my own. I couldn't figure out why I was still getting, like, the bad ending. Because the mascot will hunt you down. You can't leave. Which is stupid. I was like, well, how do I defeat this stupid thing? We can't just directly confront it because it'll kill us. It involves a lot of weird stuff that doesn't really make sense, basically. It makes more sense in the second game than it does in the first game. As the second game, at least, has you just, like, straight up destroying this thing. And I'm like, well, at least that makes sense. You know, use an incinerator, yes. I approve. But my nose is itching me so bad. The first game, I was just like, okay, this list of specific actions to take is from the land of somebody nuts. Or somebody who played Silent Hill for too long and was like, I have an idea of how to make something really complicated and stupid. Like, it's kind of what it reminds me of. Like, hey, you know how there's just games that have these stupid requirements to get the good ending? We're gonna be one of them. So, whatever. I completed them. I got all the endings. I went ahead and checked out every ending. Just to see, you know, what happened. And it's just... It's goofy, but it's not hard. It's just like strange amalgamation of like hiding from something and then solving puzzles. The only thing that got on my nerves in both the games is when you go to solve the puzzles, sometimes the mascot just won't get lost, man. It's like, oh, there it is again. Go hard. Wait for it to leave. Okay, go solve the puzzle. I seriously had this mascot follow me. Both games, the same thing happened. Where I'd get rid of it. I'd go down the hall to go solve the puzzle. And it'd pop up again. And I'd have to go hide. And then it would go away. And then I'd go to solve the puzzle and it'd pop up again. And it would do this 3 or 4 times. And I was finally like, fine, whatever, I'll go the other way. Which worked, but I don't want to loop around the other way, which is stupid because it's out of my way. And you can't always do so. So sometimes it becomes a case of, alright, fine, I'm going to switch to one of the other girls, have her trigger the stupid mascot, hide from it, and then switch back to the girl that I was using, and get to the stupid puzzle I wanted to solve because I finally got the mascot to go away. It's stupid, but, you know, whatever. Whatever works. I followed up playing those silly butt games with Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. I'm not really particularly good at those kind of games. I don't know how to explain what kind of game it is. It's kind of like this open world exploration, but there's platforming and puzzle solving, and it involves like chaining together certain moves to do certain puzzles. And at some point, your hand can just totally be like, I hate you and I'm never doing this again. I don't know how many times I messed up on certain puzzles just because this hand would freeze up. Like, I couldn't feel my fingers, my hand would cramp up, and I was like, I can't play this. It was hard for me to play through. I enjoyed every bit of that game, but it hurt my hand so bad. Take breaks with that game. Is a great game with a great storyline, great gameplay. But do not be like me. Do not keep trying to play it and trying to play it until your hand says, I don't want to play it anymore. So, I followed that up with a visual novel because my hand said it would absolutely go on protest if I tried to play another game. So I played Iwakura Aria, which is one of those weird, disturbing, dark themed visual novels to the point that the game at the beginning tells you this is not meant for all audiences, and if you're easily disturbed, don't play it. I'm like, cool, that's gonna be fun. It was definitely wackadoodle. Every time I made an assumption about something, my assumption ended up being worse than the truth, although the truth was not much better. It was one of those type of games where you're like, this is creepy and wrong and stupid in all kinds of ways, but part of me is stupid and disturbed enough to want to see what happens. So I did. I really don't know why I pushed myself forward with that. Was not necessary to do, but I did it anyways. I completed it. Some of those endings I could have done without. But the best ending, there's actually a couple best endings that are really good, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, it was worth playing through for me. Obviously, see, like, blood's the main thing. If blood kind of makes you squeamish and off put and stuff, yeah, don't even look at that game. Alright, I then played another combo pack. These are the Prison Princess games on the Switch. It was a combo pack cartridge. They also are action adventures, but instead of, stupid junk chasing you around and driving you crazy, you're just solving puzzles, and a lot of them are timed. Prison Princess 1 was definitely more picky about the time puzzles. Like, save often, man. Like, save before you solve any of those puzzles. I kid you not, I had to start over the whole game because I did not save at the right time. And I had saved after not solving a puzzle fast enough and not realizing I didn't solve it fast enough. So, in order to know you solved the puzzle fast enough, it increases the girl's, I don't know, happy meter in the first game. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. I didn't solve that one puzzle fast enough, now I gotta redo the whole game. Okay, fine, whatever. Because otherwise you can't get the best ending. You have to have both girls at perfect whatever levels. And I didn't get them at that because I didn't solve it fast enough. And one of the girls was pissed off about that, which is stupid. But it allowed me to complete the game because I got the off ending before I got the good ending because I did that. Number 2 was a lot easier. It wasn't as picky, and there wasn't really any time puzzles. It was kind of a case of, you can sit there and stare at that puzzle all you want to. Good luck guessing over and over and over and over until you go and try to find the solution elsewhere in the castle and quit being stubborn. And I was like, fine, whatever. I didn't really have an excuse for my stubbornness. It was just kind of a case of like, really? Fine. Almost all the puzzles have a solution somewhere in the castle. That isn't too hard to find. Some of them are kind of obscure, but most of them are decent. And it was like, all right, fine, whatever. It's definitely a, a decent amount of puzzling, and that's about all you're doing. You're picking stuff up, putting stuff down, quite literally, in order to unlock stuff and make progress and stuff. And you got to make sure and do the right things to make the girls have perfect happiness to get the best ending. And it's like, what? And some of the stuff you got to pick up is just totally obscure and weird. Like, making sure to pick up the shackles later after you've freed the princesses. Like, what? Why would I do that? But you need to do that, and I think it was the first game. Or otherwise you can't get the good ending. Because they do something. I forget what happens exactly. But that's the good ending. That's not the best ending. The best ending involves taking stuff and doing stuff on a table. It doesn't have to make sense. You gotta get some kind of artifact things. And I was like, huh. So outside of weird, obscure puzzle solving, overall, it was good games. They're definitely like meant for like fandom type thing. It's just kind of like, hey, look at these cute girls, and they're just gonna make noises and run around and bend over a lot. That's about the point of the game, because the storyline's kind of silly, but the storyline of the first game kind of ends with a to be continued, and then the second game ended with a to be continued. And I said, how dare you? There's not a third game. Can't to be continued me like that. I want to see what happens. They gotta win or whatever. I'm not really sure, because like, you beat the person, but there might be something else. It really didn't explain itself. Let's put it that way. Because the best ending, it's like, well, there's more that could happen, but the main bad is defeated. I don't understand why you're giving me this, like, to be continued. It quite literally says to be continued. I'm like, but why? I don't know. And then the last game that I finished, I didn't, like, completely finish. I decided I was finished. Was the good old days on Switch. Because I did two endings. I did the fast ending where I saved no one, and I just went to the gambling table and just kept at it until I had enough money. And then I did ending where I saved one person, and I had like made decent progress, but I was at the point where I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. I'm not having fun. This platforming is stupid. It's supposed to work, but it doesn't work right. I'm always like messing the platforming up, but not because of me, but because the controls are kind of a little wonkadonk. I mean, I'm sure there's people who have no problems with it. I'm sure there's people who absolutely enjoy that game. The game was on my last nerve. I just was like, nope, I don't care. You have lost me. I can't find a single walkthrough anywhere on the interwebs for it. And I can't even find a thing about how many endings there are. I can't find out anything really about the game. So I was doing it blind, and I thought I did pretty decent for a game that had absolutely nothing to tell me on how to play it. And I had got to the point where I was like, you know what? I don't know where I'm supposed to go next. I can't figure out how to beat this first boss. I'm sure there's something I'm just not understanding. But without there being any, like, tips, tricks, or anything on the internet, I don't know. I was like, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm just done. This game's on my nerve, and I'm not gonna keep torturing myself. Which is the final game I was playing. I did not beat it. I was playing Shadow Labyrinth. I came to the conclusion that life's too short to keep playing that game. That game was ticking me off. I got stuck in an area because of platforming, which is totally on me, actually. Um, it's not the game itself in that case. That one's my fault. I'm just not good at the platforming enough to do it. I can see what to do, but my fingers just won't do the do. And I was like, you know what? No. I'm not enjoying it as much as I want to see what happens in the story. All I'm doing is pushing myself forward, and that's not fun. So, most of the games I played, fun. Handful of games I played were, I'm not playing that again type situation. So, at least I did mostly play games I enjoyed this year, and I'm glad for that. The games I didn't enjoy, I don't even own. I borrowed them through Gamefly, and I'm so glad I did. So, that made me happy. So, let's see. Going into 2026, I am working on Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster currently. That's the game I started up playing. I've put in, as of this recording, which I'm not uploading it the day I'm recording it, but just as of me recording this, I've put in just shy of 3.5 hours into it. I am getting ready to go get the Knight Asterisk. I'm really close to getting that. I'm doing really decent as far as progress goes. I'm not having any difficulties I had in the past with the figuring out what equipment stuff to use this time around. I'm not having all the issues I was having before with enemies, and some of them being way stronger than my characters for no arbitrary reason. Everything is actually going very smoothly, and I'm very glad for it. The games that I want to play in 2026, I have a list I gave myself, but I don't think I'm gonna get through all of these because I gave myself way too many to possibly do. So I want to obviously do Bravely Default. That's the one I'm working on. I want to play through Yakuza 0. I kept putting it off for no solid good reason. I want to actually sit down and do that game. Just be done with it and be happy about getting that done. I also want to play Hollow Knight. I have the sequel. I don't know if I'll play the sequel. I feel like after I play Hollow Knight, I'll be like, I need a break. I feel like my thing is Bravely Default's a standard traditional RPG. Yakuza 0 is kind of a beat 'em up RPG, and then Hollow Knight is just straight up an action game, but a hard one. So I'm going to take breaks from it and play A Hat in Time, so I don't completely lose my mind, because that one's an easy action game. But I don't want to forget about other stuff when I need breaks from action games and RPGs. I'm going to actually play Biroshana Rising Flower of Genpei. That's currently the game I have out from Gamefly that I'm supposed to be playing. I was like, I'm going to play some RPG for a little bit, and then I'll play that whenever I need a break from the RPG. Obviously, I'm still streaming Pokemon Legends ZA. I'm going to stream that until I finish the game. At least beat it. I don't know if I can complete it because, far as I know, the only way to get the starters is if somebody sends me the starters I don't have. Alright, so specifically, I have a list of games I want to do. on my PlayStation. I didn't list the ones I want to do on my Switch 2 list, because I was like, I should only list one set. Because the other stuff, it's not as hard to look up what I have. Like, I physically have a lot of my Switch games, like, very easy to look at. And my digital ones are very easy to look up, too. So, for the PlayStation stuff, I want to get to Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Keep hearing all the good stuff about it. I have not played my copy of the game yet. I keep putting it off for no good reason, other than because I think it's probably going to be long, and I don't know how good I'll be at it. Um, I want to play Jeanne d'Arc. That's also available. That one I don't have a disc or anything physical of it, but it is available through the PlayStation Plus, whatever, and I have that on my PlayStation 5 where I can play it. I just haven't actually sat down and played it. It's something I've been wanting to play for years. And whenever it finally became accessible through PlayStation Plus, I was like, I can finally play it. And then I was like playing so many other games. Um, and then the rest of these are just kind of, I would like to get to them, but it's not nearly as important. Those are the top two I want to play. I don't know if I'll do Jeanne d'Arc. I keep putting it off because I'm like, oh, there's other games that are games I'll have a better chance of beating. Right, so other games I want to play, Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. I've never beat Final Fantasy VI because I'm terrible. I want to beat it and finally see, how I feel about the game, instead of just going off of what everybody else says about the game. Everybody else says it's good. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. A Plague Tale: Innocence, and the sequel is available also on my PlayStation Plus membership to play. I've been curious about it. The storyline definitely looks like the kind of thing I would enjoy. I might not be very good at the gameplay, but I have played difficult, strange games before. Like, I've beat Bramble the Mountain King, for example, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. Another Crab's Treasure. That one I'm just mainly curious about. I might not actually finish that game. That might be a play some of it and decide it's not for me. Banisher's Ghosts of Eden, of New Eden, I mean, as another one. I don't really know a lot about it. I want to check it out, though. Biomutant. It looks fun. I don't really know. It just looks like the kind of thing I would enjoy playing. Bloodborne, I do know I want to play through that. Bioshock the Collection. I at least want to play through Bioshock 1. I'm not sure if I'll play 2. 2 is not that important to me. I want to play 1 and potentially Infinite. Children of Morta. It's definitely a game that I've been wanting to play, just never really got around to. Copycat, I started it, and I don't think I'm going to have to restart it or anything, because it's not a hard game by all means. It's just kind of a goofy, play around type game as far as the controls go. You're a cat. There's not a lot of controls there, and the story, while, important and deep, isn't something like you would forget. Like, you play as a cat that's been adopted by this lady, and you quickly find out that her cat went missing after she took a fall and ambulance lights and noises scared it. And she never found that cat, so she adopted this cat, which apparently looks identical to her missing cat. And so you only can presume that something might happen again. And it's just kind of interesting to see, what's going to happen. Circus Electrique. It's like an interesting looking RPG. I don't know how to describe it exactly. It has a lot of customizable stuff with each battle and stuff. And it has me intrigued to see just what the deal is with that game. Code Vein. I know Code Vein 2 comes out soonish. I don't remember. Is it end of January, end of February? Probably end of January. I was like, I should actually play Code Vein 1 and see if I even want to play 2. I've not even played 1. Death's Door. I dabbled in this game back when I had Xbox Game Pass. Never made it very far. I think I only beat like the first boss, and I was on my way to the second boss when I quit playing. Um, it's a hard game, but it's not hard enough for me to drop it or anything. It's just hard enough that I didn't stick with it because I was like, I'll play something easier instead. AI Limit, another game that I got and just never got around to playing. That came out this year. And it definitely looks like something I would enjoy. I know there are multiple endings. I'm not sure if I'll pursue them or if I'll just look up the ending online after I get whatever ending I pursue. Anima Gate of Memories 1 and 2 remaster. I just recently got that. And I'm very curious about it since it is a remaster of an older RPG. Blue Reflection, that's something I've been wanting to play since I picked it up. I just haven't had time for it. I wouldn't mind actually playing through it and enjoying like this strange magical girl RPG social sim visual novel type thing. And then, of course, playing its sequel, which I also have. And then I know that the Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is coming on to Switch 2 soon. So I kind of want to play Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. I'm not sure if I'll actually play it first or if I will actually play this the remake first. I've not really decided yet about that. It's kind of a case of I want to play those. Out of the games coming out in 2026, I got the Kimco RPG Selection Volume 3 pre-ordered, but I don't know if I'm going to get to those selection games. I just kind of wanted to have them for when I am ready for them. Obviously, the Final Fantasy game I have pre-ordered because I definitely want to play that. I still haven't played Remake. I like the fact that it has the DLC and everything in that one cartridge. That even if it does involve a download onto the Switch 2, it's still the fact I want to sit there and play that game, and that'd be cool. Trying to remember. What I pre-ordered. Like, what's coming out? What I pre-ordered? Obviously, the Resident Evil new game's coming out. I don't know if I'll beat it. I don't really tend to beat Resident Evil games. I tend to just kind of play them a little bit and maybe watch a full playthrough later on. Tales of Berseria is getting a remaster. I got that pre-ordered. I would actually like to play through that. I've been curious about that game. That game, back when I first got it, I actually did dabble in it a bit, and I was like, this is a cool game. But I just didn't have time to put into it, and I wanted to do other things at that time. So I wouldn't mind actually playing it. Same goes with the fact I have Tales of Zillia remastered now. I wouldn't mind actually beating it too. I'm not sure when I'll get to it. That's like not on my top list. It's one of those things where I'm like, I wouldn't mind playing them, but I want to try to be realistic in the fact I only beat 17 games this year, and some of them were like really short. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna get to all the games I want to get to as usual. That kind of happens. But I do want to try to play games more this year and see if I can do it. I waited until like the halfway point of the year to start doing this thing where I at least play an hour each day. I'm wondering if I continue doing the hour each day thing, if that'll add up enough to allow me to play and beat more games. That'd be nice. Especially since I don't necessarily go for completion. Like the Bravely Default, I don't know that I'm gonna go for completion. I don't know if I'm gonna go for doing every achievement in the achievement book, for example. But I will still go for both endings. Like I'll beat it as my version of beating it, anyways, because I want to see both the endings. Um, I don't know. I have to wait and see because like some games I get really hooked into them, and that's how I end up, completing them. I know Yakuza Zero only has one ending, so I don't know how much extra stuff I'll do on it. I do know a lot of extra stuff looks fun. It's like something I would enjoy doing. I could see me wasting a lot of time with it. Hollow Knight has five endings. I'm not sure. It depends on how hard it is. I'm basically gonna go for whatever ending I have the best chance at. As I play through the game, I'm gonna do everything I can in it, and at some point it'll become obvious what I can and can't do. And whatever ending I get will be cool and fine with me, and then I'll watch the others just so I don't lose my mind. I think A Hat in Time only has one ending. I'm pretty sure it only has one ending. Let's put it that way. I'll have to look it up at some point. I know Clair Obscure Expedition 33 has two endings, but from what I understand, it's like basically at the end of the game. There's a place to save beforehand. I think Sean d'Arc has one ending. I know Final Fantasy VI only has one ending. Plague Tale Innocence, I don't know. Probably only one ending. Same with the Nether Crab's Treasure. I don't know anything really about Banishers Ghost of New Eden or Biomutant. I can't remember. I think Bloodborne's one ending. I know Bioshock's one ending. Children of Morta, I don't know. Probably one ending. Pretty sure Copycat's one ending. I'm pretty sure the same goes for the Circus Electric and Code Vein and Death's Door. I know AI Limit has either two or three endings. I got it bookmarked somewhere. I don't know enough about the Anima Gate Memories. I think Blue Reflection only has one ending, but I'll have to look into it. I know Crisis Core only has one ending because I already know how it ends. It has nothing to do with anything, but yeah. And the same with the Final Fantasy VII remake when that finally comes out on Switch 2. I know it only has one ending. I'm sure that the Resident Evil game is only going to have one ending if I do bother actually finishing it. Same with the Tales of games. I know that Berseria has one ending. Zillia technically has more than one ending, but it's only because you have to beat the game twice. Once as Jude, once as Milia. But, it's still technically the same ending. I don't think it gives you anything special for beating it twice. I could be wrong. I'll find out whenever I quit milling about and actually get to beating games and hopefully get to them. We'll see. I don't want to throw my hopes up too high because I do know that despite me not listing stuff for the Switch or Switch 2, that I'll definitely play games on it. Like I want to try to play what's it? 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. I already told you about the Burishana game that I got from GameFly that I want to play through. I don't remember what the next game from GameFly will be whenever I send back Shadow Labyrinth. Probably another visual novel that I'll want to maintain focus on. They have multiple endings, but it's generally not too hard to complete them. I think the length of time is like a week for me. I'm one of those people that just sit there and just read, and then I'm done. Mainly because I won't quit until I'm done. It's like the only issue I have when I play visual novels is I don't know how to put it down and walk away. I should, but I can't. Like I will lose sleep because I'm too hyper fixated on this. I have to see what happens. Like I won't be able to go to bed because my mind will still be like, no, I want to see what happens. I want to see what happens. I want to see what happens. I'm like, fine, screw it. I'm not gonna sleep until I find out. Okay. I don't know if there's anything like in particular outside of that I'm like particularly gonna like go after. I do know I enjoy playing visual novels when I need a break from playing RPGs because there's no thinking involved with a visual novel. I just look at my guide. Just the same as like I'm not sure what I'll play when I finish Pokemon Legends, like what my next streaming game is gonna be. Um, I don't know. I'm sure it'll be something on the Switch or Switch 2. Um, honestly, like I want to lead towards the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney games because there's no voice acting and I could read through all of them. But at the same time, I know when it comes to games, all that reading, I have a hard time streaming and recording them because I get tired and my mouth dries out too much. And then I'm like, yeah, no, I need a break. I don't care anymore. Um, I don't know. Was there anything in particular I wanted to play? I'm trying to remember. Like, what I have on the Switch that I would want to play enough to, like, put forward as, like, the next thing. Um, I doubt that. Just looking through my list of what I have. Because, like, I know I don't really like playing things that have a requirement for a guide. Because I keep staring at the guide and not so much at the screen and what I'm doing. Um, which just isn't as fun to watch as far as I'm concerned. I could be wrong. There might be somebody who enjoys watching me flounder around and stare at a guide going, "What do you want me to do? I don't understand." Um, I'm sure there's some fun to come from that, but that's not really my goal. I might, yeah, based on what I'm looking at, what I might do is make Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake be my next streamed games after I finish Pokemon. Just because I don't know that I'll need a guide, and if I do, it'll be one of those things where it'll just be me looking up like, how do I find this item? I know I need this stupid item to proceed, and I don't know where it is. Um, I think that'll be probably the best option I have, and then I can follow that up with 3 HD 2D remake. Um, Speaking of the HD 2D remakes, I haven't decided if I'm going to get the Dragon Quest 7 remake. I don't think it's HD 2D though. Um, because I know I have it recently. I had recently just got it for 3DS, and I don't know. I might get the remake just because the Switch 2 title does look really cool. It's one of those things I'm going to borrow it from Gamefly first and just compare it with the 3DS one. Just how different are they, and do I really need another copy of Dragon Quest 7? Um, but yeah, outside of that, I really don't know that there's anything in particular coming out next year that well, it'll be this year by the time this comes up. I don't know if there's anything coming out in 2026 really that I care about outside of those. There's probably a handful of visual novels that I'll check out. I'll probably just get them through Gamefly unless I see them on sale. If I see them on sale, I might go ahead and grab them. I'll say that I don't know. I know that the 007 game is supposed to be coming out. I'm not sure that it would be my kind of thing. I'm going to play it through Gamefly to see if I even care. If I enjoy it enough, I'll buy it, but it's one of those things, I got to be wary with games that are not RPGs and are not visual novels. And I even gotta be weird with visual novels because a lot of the visual novels are just all about lovey-doveyness. Sometimes I'm just like, and I'm bored, and I don't want to keep something that I'm not gonna play again. Like I'm not sure I'll play Genso Manage again. As much as I love that game, it is a good visual novel. It's just not necessarily something I would want to play again. So I'm like, oh, I could have probably not bought that one, but that's okay. And just like I'm glad I didn't buy Iwakura Aria. I love that visual novel. Don't get me wrong. That one I really love. It would be like in the top 10 favorite games ever list. It's one of those games once you beat it, you're not playing it again. If you have completed that game, you're done with it. That's kind of the situation with it because then you've already seen all the storyline. All of the surprises are gone. There's no pool to keep going. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Like the only game that I think that I borrowed and didn't buy that I wouldn't have minded buying was the Tevi game and the Pipistrello game. I don't think I'll buy the Pipistrello game just simply because I'm not good at that kind of game. It was a fun game, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't complete it. I wouldn't play it again because it's not my kind of game. But it is a great game and I enjoyed it. Tevi, though, I might get because I could see me playing it again, even though it's not really necessarily the kind of games I play, just because I like it for some reason. I'm really into that goofy mix of super cute and then super dark and depressing. I don't know. I'm weird. Maybe somebody else likes that sort of mix, and that's their sort of thing. Um, yeah, that's just the strange way I feel about it. I could see me getting the game just because. Um, yep. So that is all. I can't think of any other games that are coming out in 2026. I just at least none that I was interested in. Let's put it that way. Like I looked at some of the games and was like, yeah, don't care, don't care, don't care, don't care. Oh, I know. Yakuza 3. I did pre-order that, the Dark Ties one, because I wanted the extra scenario. Is it called scenarios? I don't even know. The extra plot or whatever. I don't remember. It has extra content. I pre-ordered that because I definitely wanted that. Duh. There were some games I had pre-ordered already this last year that still haven't come out yet. Corpse Party 2. When I pre-ordered Corpse Party 2, I also had ordered 7 Scarlet S or whatever, however it's said. So I gotta wait for Corpse Party 2 to come out to get that game. I want that visual novel, but I have to wait. I had pre-ordered Borderlands 4 for the Switch 2. It got delayed, I guess. I'm not sure if another release date has been given to it, so it's kind of up in the air. At some point, they'll either announce the release date or cancel it, and I'll just get my money back and order something else. Or I'll order it on another system. I'm not really sure yet. I'm hoping that maybe they give a release date and I get the game. But we'll see. We will see. Now that's everything. Unless I really can't think of any other games. If there's a game that's coming out next year that you think, or definitely this year by the time this comes up, if there's a game coming out in 2026, you're curious what I think about it, like why I didn't mention it, either I didn't know about it, which is possible, or I'm not interested in it, and I'll explain why. I don't mind. Go ahead and put it in the comments. Oh, goodness. Thank you so much for watching. This was a long one. Who knew I had so much to say about games? Until next time, bye-bye.